Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our virtual meetup titled AI Solutions in Insurance. This talk will walk through a use case of enterprise AI solutions within the insurance sector. We will discuss the challenges, motivation, tool selection process, and then cover the overall solution development. My name is Saurabh Kumar, and I'm on the marketing team here at H2.ai. I'd love to start off by introducing our speaker for the day. Jong Hang works as a solution engineer and a data scientist at H2.ai. He's based in Singapore, where he helps businesses, government, academia, and non-profit organizations in their transformation to AI. Without further delay, I'd now like to hand it over to Jong. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on AI solutions in insurance. My name is Jong Hang Xiong. Before we go any further, just let me introduce briefly about myself. I joined H2O earlier this year in February. And before that, I was with the Bank of America Merrill Lynch in Hong Kong, where I bring data science and machine learning to quantitative finance. And prior to that, I worked for Teradata Singapore, where I carry out multiple data science projects in Asia, Europe, United States for various industries. And I have also been teaching courses like Quadrant courses from 2012 to 15. And I have also been a part-time lecturer for analytic courses at the University of Hong Kong. Yeah. So let's get started by let me start by introduce a little bit about H2O. And H2O is a trusted partner where we have helped business organizations, government in their digital transformations into AI companies. And we have also a very large user base and developer base in the open source community where we have offered and provided platforms like H2O, Tree, and Sparkling Water, where many business organizations have used our state-of-the-art technologies and machine learning algorithm to overcome and solve business challenges. And we are also embarking on AI for good to help and make an impact in the for social goods and helping the non-profit organizations. And H2O was founded in 2012 with investment from Goldman Sachs, Ping An, Wells Fargo, and NVIDIA. So NVIDIA was one of the earlier investors, and because of the NVIDIA investment, so our H2O algorithms have been geared towards the leveraging on the GPU, which accelerate the machine learning training tremendously. And we have over 200 employees globally, and more than 1,000 and over 20,000 companies, and this has been using H2O algorithms in their machine learning buildings. And we conduct a webinar like this one regularly, and we have over 180,000 Meetup members. And there are several commercials and open source offering from H2O. So we have open source H2O Tree and Sparkling Water are the open source offering from the H2O, and we also have an automated machine learning platform, which is a commercial product from H2O, as well as H2OQ, which is the AI platform for business user, where they can perform like last mile ETL and generate automatic insights and prepare data and so on. And we have these are some of the examples of our customers who are using our commercial as well as the open source product. And we are global, so we have offices in Mountain View. Mountain View is our HQ, and New York City, London, Paris, and in Canada we have offices in Canada, Europe, in India, and Singapore. And this slide shows the our Kaggle Grandmasters, and you can in order to become a Kaggle Grandmaster, so one need to participate in many data competitions and win many data competitions. You can look at the Kaggle Grandmaster as the Nobel Prize for data science. And globally there are about 150 Kaggle Grandmasters, and H2O has approximately 10% of them. Yeah. So this slide shows the recognitions that H2O has gained from the Gartner on the left. So this is the Gartner chart, the Gartner Magic Quadrant on the completeness of a vision. So H2O, we have various AI products, and our DriversAI covers like automated feature engineering, the interpretability, and we also have a roadmap. For example, our roadmap also has the very complete visions in how we are going to develop and the technologies for the future of AI. And for example, the multi-node learnings, and we are going to have the NLP and the improved time series and interpretability. So all these give us the recognition in terms of completeness. And so in the middle one, this is a Magic Quadrant for cloud AI developers. So how ready is H2O products for cloud, for AI development on the cloud, which particularly how ready is H2O on the to be implemented on Docker as well as Kubernetes. So these have earned us the recognition in the readiness for cloud AI development. And this is on the right. This is what our customer think about the H2O products. And so very obviously, so we are at the upper right corner, which is our technology is a world class. And this slide shows the some of the examples of our customers, of logos that we have won recently. And on top of here, these are the customers in the regions. We have manufacturers, oil and gas, government, financial services, and so on. And over 200 companies in the Fortune 500 are using H2O AI. Eight of the top 10 banks and 7 of the top 10 insurance and 4 of the top healthcare companies. Yeah. So what are the problems or what are the business challenges that companies or business organization or even government use H2O for? And so these are some of the examples, and also on the how and what organizations use H2O for. In the digital, we have use cases in the digital marketing. So companies has used H2O AI to solve challenges in the credit underwritings, fraud detections, and supply chain optimization, even save lives. So healthcare organizations have been using DriversAI to build models that are able to detect if patients have certain conditions, and so that the healthcare professional can make the decisions accordingly. And in the financial and insurance sectors, so we have a debt scoring, propensity to lease, which saved the company millions of dollars a month, and bad credit detections. And then insurance, we also have use cases like who detections on the which particular customers is going to like miss their premiums payment and so on. Yeah. So so those business challenges are not limited to these examples. So subsequently, I'll talk about many more example how companies, particularly insurance companies, are using H2O to address some of their challenges. Yeah. So let me go into a specific of our AI and machine learning platform. And so before we go into detail, let me talk about the challenges in the AI model development. So in a transformation of a company to become an AI company, so there are things that they need to do. And these are some of the challenges in building up an AI or data science team in order to realize the dream or the aspirations of becoming an AI company. And so these are three of the examples in such an endeavor. One is a feature engineering. What is a feature engineering? So in machine learning, in building a machine learning model, so one need to have data. So data is in the form of columns and rows, and you can imagine each column is a feature. So most of the time and very often, Very often, the data that given to you cannot be used directly to train a machine learning model. So data scientists need to be able to create a new feature, derive a new column or new feature from the existing ones. And this is a very time consuming, and the data scientist needs to have a very in-depth and advanced skill in statistics and sometimes mathematics in order to do that. So data scientists need to have the knowledge and what kind of data distributions and need what kind of data transformations. And once you have a data, you need to build a model. In order to build a machine learning model, you need to have the machine learning algorithm. So you need to know what are the algorithms out there and what each can offer, the strength and weakness of each algorithm. And again, so this is very time consuming, and a data science need to have like years of experience and learning in order to get to that point. And not only that, each algorithm has its own set of parameters and hyperparameters that they need to tune, and this requires a unique and in-depth knowledge of such algorithm and tuning. And as once we have a model ready, you need to deploy it. So this is another challenge that a data scientist or organization need to overcome. Yeah. And it requires a totally different set of skills. It needs to you need to coordinate with the IT team in order to have your model deployed at the for example, various locations in order to make predictions. Yeah, and ultimately, industries such as financial and insurance is these are very highly regulated industries. So your model cannot be totally a black box, so you need to be able to explain that. So that needs another level of complexity and skills. Yeah. So H2O AI comes to help organizations to overcome these challenges in building up data science capability and machine learning capability to become an AI company. So these are the three examples from H2O AI that are able to help the customers, organizations to achieve that aspiration to become an AI company. So we have a H2OQ, which is the a platform for business user where they can do last mile ETL and can generate a quick insights, export data, prepare data, and to be used with the DriversAI. Yeah. And DriversAI, it helps the data scientist organization to build machine learning model by automating crucial steps in that machine learning creation pipeline. Yeah. And H2O model ops works hand in glove with the DriversAI. Once you have built the machine learning model, is automatically registered in the model ops, where model ops help you to automatically helps you to monitor and retrain model. It can also detect if you have there's a drift in your data and trigger the retraining so accordingly. Yeah. And slightly more in depth. So this is a workflow on a possible scenario when you have the from end to end how DriversAI works in realizing this pipeline to automate your machine learning processes. So QApp, you use QApp to ingest the data, you prepare the data, you might want to export the data, and these data can be used directly to build a model in a DriversAI, and then it goes to model app ops, where a model ops will help you to automatically manage, monitor, and deploy, retrain your model. So this is the one possible scenario on how you use H2O product for your end-to-end AI transformation. Yeah. Now let's go one layer more in depth. So this is the different steps or different stages in creating a machine learning a model until you deploy it. So first you started by collecting data from various sources. So this data need to undergo like ETL process and aggregations so that you have a proper table which looks like this. It has a proper rows and columns. Yeah. So H2OQs provides tools and feature and functionality for you to not just to gain insight, but to help you with the data cleaning, data aggregations. You can also join table before you use it for your machine learning training. And so this is the process on the in the DriversAI, where DriversAI provides also some quality check and data manipulation functionality, and of course the help you to build the machine learning model and produce a scoring pipeline that you can use to score or predict a new data set. And it also generates a documentation that explain not just the model but also the results. Yeah. Okay. And so particularly then for DriversAI, so it is automatic AI and ML in a single platform. And so how does DriversAI actually automate it? Very briefly, DriversAI uses AI to do AI, and it delivers insight and as well as interpretability. So it gives you a complete documentation on why a model was built as such, why the results were predicted as such. Yeah. And because of the automations that has been offered by DriversAI, and you can organization and data science teams are able to reduce their workflow of a building machine learning model from months to days or even hours. Yeah. And at the H2O, so we also have a top 10 experts who are also the grandmasters who has built and contributed input to the creations of DriversAI. And again, so DriversAI also provide additional powers in terms of the explainability of the model. Yeah. And so one layer more in depth. Okay. So what the step in the data science or machine learning creation workflow that DriversAI actually automate? Yeah. So firstly, is statistical insight. So DriversAI will automatically give you the statistical insight of your data, for example, the basic statistical summary, and also based on the data, DriversAI is able to generate a context-sensitive visualization. That means from the data that you have provided, DriversAI will be able to use AI to provide you with the relevant visualization. So different data set that you provide to a DriversAI, a different combination of visualization might be generated. Yeah. And when the machine learning creation process starts or the training process starts, so DriversAI will perform like internal validations strategy. So it will split the data into parts and test each part separately in order to produce a robust and accurate machine learning model. And it also engineered the features automatically. So based on the data you have provided, DriversAI will analyze and look at the data and generate a bunch of new features. And then these features, a different set of features will be selected to be trained by the different algorithms during training. And the several DriversAI contains some of the very sophisticated and state-of-the-art algorithms, and it automatically tune the hyperparameters, and it actually it will use the many iteration and many experiments to give you the best model through an evolutionary process, which is based on genetic algorithm, and which is proprietary to H2O. And from the feature that you have provided, coupled with the those new features that DriversAI has created during the automatic feature engineering. So at the end, the best model with the best features will be selected and automatically ranked. Yeah. So at the end of the training, so what you get is the best feature which has been selected for the best model, and and those features are ranked in according to their importance. Yeah. So we also combine many techniques during the training, and it generates artifacts, explainable artifacts that in the form of report that you can use, for example, for compliance and regulatory. And so if your DriversAI also allows you to write your own recipe and load onto the DriversAI. Yeah. So this slides roughly describe illustrates the steps in completing a machine learning model using DriversAI. First, you can drag and drop the data from the various sources, HDFS, SQL, and local, and from the data warehouses, RDBMS. And so the next thing that it will do, it will generate the visualization, automatic visualization, give you an idea on the behavior and the profile of the data, and it create the it train the machine learning for you automatically by automating some of the very crucial steps that has been described in the previous slide. And at the end, it will produce a model or a scoring pipeline that you can use to make predictions or to score on the new data set. Okay, so next we are going to go through some of the use cases or our customer stories. And before we go to the specifics use case for insurance, this slide is a list of some of the customers, a testimony of our customers in the financial industries. We have a Progressive, which the auto insurance in the United States, Zurich Commercial, and Capital One. So we'll go to more detail later. And PayPal with its credit risk and fraud detection. So PayPal already have a team of data scientists that they have built accurate model using open source H2O. But when they implemented DriversAI in their organizations, so they are able to produce improve their accuracy, tremendously. Okay, so let's start with the use case for the insurance industry. And so this slide describes briefly how insurance companies use DriversAI for. And so at a high level, so one of the business challenges that they use DriversAI for is the underwriting and claim propensity of customers. So they build model to get the insight on the propensity of a particular customer to make claims. And this brings us to the next business objective, which is behavioral risk scoring. And so when we know which customer is going to have a propensity to claim, so we are able to characterize his behavior. And because of that, we'll be able to know their customers better. And an insurance company, like any other financial companies, so the data is very sensitive. So cybersecurity is also their concerns. And so not just the insurance, the main problem that they want to solve. So they have used DriversAI to solve some of the IT challenges, such as cybersecurity and intrusion detections and classifications of a transaction, whether or not a certain transactions in the network is actually a malicious attempt to steal the data from the company. Yeah. And in the operation space, so they use the DriverSAI to design rate management. So we're going to go through each later, and the prediction, late payment, who's going to pay late, and matching customer to planner. And in the area of claims, so they want to detect like which particular claim is fraudulent and so on. Yeah. And so these are the example of the insurance customers of H2O that has been using DriversAI in their business organizations. Yeah. So going to slightly more specific, two of the customer, Change Healthcare and Aegon, they use the DriversAI to detect the anomaly, so to manage the claims and to predict if a customer is going to churn, and to predict if a particular claim is a fraudulent. Yeah. And one of the things that a machine learning model like the one from DriversAI help the companies tremendously is able to scale. So you build one model, so you can use one model to score or to run prediction on billions and millions of claims. Yeah. So this takes away a lot of the very mundane and repetitive and laborious manual work to sort out the claims and sort out the fraudulence and so on. Yeah. And so Progressive and Zurich also use DriversAI for to improve their analytics. So they have been doing analytics for many years, and they want to improve that to be able not just to have to produce accurate and robust models, and that model will be able to scale to millions of customers. Yeah, and so because it can scale to millions of customers and millions of rows of data, so they are able to increase the time to insight or time to market. Yeah, and going slightly more specific, okay, Progressive Insurance. So they have business challenges in their organizations. In the, for example, in their auto insurance. So traditionally, so they have been using, like, for example, the year of the vehicle, the make of the vehicle, and model, and based on the rule base and a lot of manual processes. So they have been doing this like conventionally, but so what they want to do is that they want to consider like individualized factors. So apart from a year, make, and model of the car, so there are factors such as driving behavior, location, weather, time of day. So these are also important factors. And so they have this challenge. They already have a lot of work to sort out so many claims. And by considering this additional factor is going to add to their workload. So, and the opportunity for AI in this business challenge is that the model that you have built using DriversAI is able to, again, to scale and to go further than just sort out the claim, but it's able to like detect anomaly, and you can perform clusterings and creating recommendations. Yeah. And by using DriversAI, so they are able to not just to make predictions at a very high accuracy, they are also able to tell derive the reasons why the customer was predicted to have a to be a fraudulent, why the transaction was predicted to be fraudulent, and so on. So this can be the reasons for this prediction can be derived from the model, from the machine learning interpretability or MLI. Yeah. And for Zurich, so they have their challenges is the fraudulent claim. So fraudulent claim costs about, according to FBI, the fraudulent claim costs about 40 billion a year. And because of this, and so it has the impact on the increase in the premium. So US family has to pay additional premium because of this fraudulent claim. And the opportunity for AI is that identification of and detection of this fraudulent claim can be automated. The machine learning model can be built or can be created in order to automate the claim assessments, and from there it can be routed to relevant personnel for further investigations. Yeah. And why they use DriversAI? So again, DriversAI is able to provide a clear reason code for investigators, and then for each predictions, whether it is a fraudulent or non-fraudulent claim, so DriversAI is able to give you the reasons, and based on the reasons, so investigator can actually focus on certain factors and prioritize their investigation works. Yeah. And not only that, apart from telling you which transaction is fraudulent, which customer is bad, and so you are able to know which in more detail which customers are good and which transactions are good transactions, so that you can actually streamline the approval process. Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of claims, so the challenges in the insurance industry is that the managing claims involve assessing and the assessing the claims, and also traditionally they use rule-based systems to make decisions in whether or not to approve the claim, and this may take times, and then because of this, it may impact on your customers' experience. Yeah, because of the time taken to approve or disprove a claim, so it might actually make some customers unhappy. So opportunity is that these repetitive processes, and they can be automated using machine learning model. So that machine learning model is able to look through all the millions of rows of records, and accurately predict which customer has the propensity or likelihood of making fraudulent claim or not. Yeah, and again, so the DriversAI is able to provide the reason code for why certain claims has been denied or claim has been approved. Yeah. So you have a reason when you communicate with the regulatory body and for compliance. So this reason code can be used as a basis to justify the decision that you make in approving or disapproving of the claim. Yeah. Okay. So next, so what we have seen so far are the use cases that covers the business challenges and the opportunity for AI to help overcome those challenges, and the reasons that these customers use DriversAI, H2O DriversAI. Yeah. So one of the key strengths and of a DriversAI is to be able to provide the reasons code for why a model was built such a way and was predicted such a way. Yeah. Now, under the hood, what are the steps involved in producing such a model, and also the machine learning interpretability? It started with the data procurement, and this is an example on what goes into the data. So what are the features or category of features that this insurance company have used in building their model? So they have a customer profile, their policy details, the coverage, claim details, and agent details. Yeah. And once you have this data, and you can further process it, and then sometimes the each organization have a very specific need or specific way of deriving a new feature, so they can do that in the for example outside the DriversAI and bring it into DriversAI. Yeah. And target variable creation, training and validation set. So these are some of the things that they some organizations or a data science team might perform in preparing data for the machine learning training. Yeah. So the feature engineering and your model training. So these are some of the example of algorithm used within DriversAI to train the model. GLM, gradient boosting machines with a GPU. Yeah. So one of the key strength of DriversAI to be able to leverage on the graphic processing unit to accelerate the machine learning training process. Yeah. And also the model outcome. Yeah. So this is a recap of what we have covered from the data to from the data preparations to feature engineering, building the model, and producing a scoring pipeline, and also the machine learning interpretability documentation. Yeah. And so this is from another angle. Yeah. Okay. So again, from the data procurement, so you have a various category of a feature that you use, and so this one is the specifically on the data transformations. So previously we mentioned briefly about transformation of data. That means the data that you have acquired or provided to you might not be suitable immediately suitable for machine learning training. So there are things that you need to do. For example, derive a new feature, derive new calculated columns, and so on and so forth. So and these transformations can be automated in the DriversAI. So DriversAI has the list of very advanced, sophisticated transformer that drivers will automatically deploy to transform the data. And these are some of the examples. Right? CV target, weight of evidence, faster distance, SVD. So these are some of the very advanced transformer that the DriversAI use in order to perform the feature engineering. And so this middle part is the result of the feature engineering process, where DriversAI select the features and rank them accordingly based on their importance. Yeah. And lastly, so to give you the artifacts or model for your predictions. Yeah. And so this slide is talk about the business impact of using DriversAI. Yeah. So what H2O offer is that we have a Kaggle Grandmaster support, and the Kaggle Grandmasters not only build but they contribute significantly to the various like advanced features and functionality in DriversAI, and they also create new recipes regularly. So this recipe can be loaded easily onto the DriversAI, and DriversAI has the automated feature engineering functionality, and it explains the model as well as the results in the form of auto-generated documentations. So how do these capabilities benefit businesses? It benefits businesses in the various aspects. It benefits the data scientists. It benefits the model creation process itself, and it gives you a very accurate and robust model, which you can use to overcome some of your business challenges. For example, what are the business challenges? For example, you want to know who is going to churn, and you want to know which particular transaction is going to be fraudulent, and so on. Yeah. So how do these values impact your business? Yeah, impact your business in a few in a few fronts. On it decrease the risk of business operations, and increase the cost, and increase your revenue. Yeah. So when you're able to detect and investigate fraudulent claims in advance, so you're able to reduce the payout, which means the increase in the revenue. All right. So now the next thing that I want to talk about is a module. Okay. So module stands for model-oriented Java object. So it is name given to the model that you have, the machine learning model that you have built within DriversAI, which you can actually take out, from the DriversAI and as a portable artifact, of a portable executable bundle, where you can actually deploy it to your edge machine to your at the multiple locations. Yeah. So instead of bringing the data to where you have installed your DriversAI, so why don't you leave the data at where it is, and bring that model to the data in order to do the predictions. So that one you can perform like federated or distributed scoring. Yeah. So this is a brief illustrations on the from the data after you have built the model, and then you take the model out module, and you can deploy it to multiple locations. Yeah. Or your edge devices. Yeah. So this is one scenario of how you make use of a module. All right. So what you see under here, this is a very typical enterprise data layer in the financial industry, and so you have various data sources, RDBMS, and so on. So you have these are all secured, and you have a bunch of business problems that you want to solve. For example, you want to know who is going to churn, and you want to know which transaction is fraudulent, and so on. So you have multiple business challenges to solve, and these challenges can be solved by machine learning. So from the data, you can actually offload some of the data that you want to build a model, anonymize them, and then you can actually build your own recipe or develop your own algorithm that you can later load onto the DriversAI. So the anonymous data can be offloaded to where you have installed the DriversAI. And so apart from what has been included in DriversAI, the Kaggle Grandmasters at the H2O has also written a bunch of over 100 recipe that you can use directly and load onto the DriversAI, and to produce multiple models for multiple use cases. And here in this diagram, it shows like multiple modules that has been produced, and so you can deploy all this model to your various departments or various divisions and so on. Yeah. So the results, again, the results can be go back to your secure enterprise data layer, and after that you can when you have a new incoming data, new customers sign up to your company's products, so you can use the new data and use the module to score or make prediction on the new data for various use cases. So again, you can when have more new data, so you can offload more data, more data from more recent events, and anonymize them, and build more models again. So you have a new use cases, you can do so. And so let's look at some of their deployment options. So we equip with module. Okay, so now from the data again, so you offload the data, and this data go into DriversAI, where you build the machine learning model, which you can take out as a module. And then optionally, this jar, this jar means it can be executed by Java. Yeah. So this model, yeah, can be included with other jars, other modules packaged by developers, and you can deploy this along with other software artifacts to multiple locations. Yeah. And one such example is that, for example, you have a data, you want to score on data that you extract from a relational database or EDW. So this can be done by using JDBC, and so this new data can be used to produce like predictions using module, and the results can be actually displayed or manifest through, for example, BI tools such as Tableau, ClickView. So you can also build your own user interface and graph and web, and so to make so that this prediction results can be made available to the decision makers. Yeah. And so this is another scenario that you can use Python, R, apart from the Java. And so this is slightly more complex. You have a Hadoop environment, so you can also you deploy it to your Hadoop environment where, and since this is a Java executable, so you can actually register it as a UDF. Once you have a registers this module as UDF, it is immediately made available to your like Impala Hive in your Hadoop, and also made available to Cloudera, for example, in this case, Cloudera Data Science Workbench. Yeah. And So previously, in previous slides, I have also briefly mentioned about accelerations of machine learning training using GPU. And what's so special about this feature? Okay, so I'm going to give you a snapshot of one of the benchmark that we have carried out at the at H2O. This is on the cybersecurity data in order to predict the malicious network intrusions. Yeah, and this is a graph that shows that to train a model to make predictions on the network, incoming network, whether or not it is malicious or not, by using just GPU, it took like 26 hours with a 1 million over 1 million records. These 1 million records, most of them are benign, so they are non-malicious, and the one that is malicious is only like 300 over. So this is highly imbalanced data. So this alone is a big challenge to data science and machine learning. And so we compared the machine learning model trained using CPU only, and CPU plus GPU. So it's about over 23 hours difference. So this is another benchmark that we use on the NLP. And this is a small data set. Small data set about 600 rows. And by using GPU, it's less than an hour, slightly more than 30 minutes. And without GPU, it's 1.3 hours. And so approximately 3 times. And doing it in deep learning. So using 28 epochs, 7 hours versus 2 hours, and 1.2 hours versus 3 hours. Yeah. So the next steps. So how can we help? So if you have such challenges, and you think that the DriversAI specifically, or AI generally, can help you overcome those business challenges, come talk to us. And we'll help you to assess your current states. And if you have business use case, so there will be great. Otherwise, we can help to build business use case as well, and review your technology. And so you have a regulatory needs, so you're able to help in this area, and move forward to become AI organizations. And we have Kaggle Grandmasters. We help you to install and tune and productionize your machine learning. And so we have a recipe written that you can use to enhance to empower your data scientists. And so we are going to help you with your AI transformations, and make organization more efficient, and the model that you're going to build are more accurate and explainable, and so on. In conclusions, as a final food of thought, so in the midst of a pandemic, COVID pandemic, so companies are earning less, and because of this, they have less money to be spent on other areas, and so they cannot afford to make mistakes, or every mistake that they make is going to cost them money, so they cannot afford. So they need to make decision fast. Yeah, and this is the area that AI can help, because AI can scale. For example, in the previous example we saw, we have millions of thousands and millions of claims coming in, and the model that you build using DriversAI is able to actually scale. You're able to score at scale. So meaning it is able to help you to identify which one is which customer is going to churn or not churn, which customer is going to have a high propensity to make claims, and so on. Yeah. So you can actually scale that to thousands or millions a day. Yeah. And how do you do that? How do you achieve that fast insight, and they are at scale? So you need to do things fast, and you need machine learning, and that is automated and accelerated. So we have a new equation in the dynamics. And so with this, I conclude my presentations on AI solution for insurance. So I'm going to take some questions from here.
Thank you so much, Jong.
Yeah.
First question,
Yeah.
what data type does driverless AI support?
Okay, I will talk about the data source first. So we have connectors to various RDBMS, including Hadoop, HDFS, and also data on SaaS such as Snowflake. And so the data type that is supported, immediately supported within the drivers AI is the proper rows and column, which is CSV data. But in terms of sources of data, there are multiple sources of data that drivers AI can get from. Yeah. So that is the.
Sorry, okay. Could you also tell us what type of data can driverless AI take?
Okay. Structured data, and
Right.
then okay. So there are okay. Drivers AI is able to perform a natural language processing based classification as well. So if you have a data, for example, free text like email messages and customer review, so that you can actually load it into a driver's AI, and it can use that and spawn the natural language processing, for example, TensorFlow, recurrent neural network, in order to perform the NLP-based classification for you. Now, in Drivers AI, in the upcoming version of Drivers AI 1.9, so you can also perform your classifications using highly unstructured data like images. Yeah. So you can do image classifications, for example, in the insurance claim. So traditionally, in the past, when you make insurance claim, so you fill out the form, so it's a handwriting. Yeah. So and then now we are able to fill out the form online and then upload the, for example, the medical claims statement written by the doctors in handwriting. So computer visions is able to, for example, helps you in this space. Like first convert the handwriting into a text, and then the second step would be to understand the text and then put the text into a proper, for example, proper columns and automate that claim process. Yeah. So both structured and unstructured data can be used in drivers AI.
Thank you, John. Next question, are there any functions for model monitoring in driverless AI?
Yes, we have one product called Model Ops, which will be the next new offering from Drivers AI. So this Model Ops is able to perform like automatic monitoring and help to detect if there's a drift in your data and trigger the retraining of the model. Yeah. So after you have built the model in Drivers AI, it automatically registered in Model Ops, and then you can actually do the depth of on your model. So that will be done automatically. So currently without depth ops, so if you want to, let's say, retrain the data, you need to go back to Drivers AI, and there are a few options for you to retrain your model. So even if, let's say, if you're running an experiments in a Drivers AI, and you need to stop for whatever reasons, so there is the checkpoint. There is a checkpoint recorded where the next time you go in, you can actually retrain the model by starting from the last checkpoint. Yeah. So currently in 1.8 Drivers AI, the monitoring is still a manual process, so you need to do the human interventions, and so the upcoming offering, which is a Model Ops, is going to help you to automate this process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next question is on the recording. Yes, a copy of the recording will be sent out shortly after. The next question for you is, Jong, does the data given to driverless AI need to be processed before being fed to the platform?
Yes, you need to. Okay, there's most of the time when the data that you receive that you want to use to build a machine learning model, it might not be suitable or in a good shape. Yeah. So there are things that you need to do. For example, these are some of the common things that you need to do. First, like remove different redundant data, and there are indirect characters that you need to remove. For example, in the NLP space, you might need to like convert those text into a lowercase and remove the punctuations. Yeah, these are the common things that you need to do. And in the space of IoT data, so IoT data, they are data from, for example, from various sensors. So these data are all in their isolations. So and they comes in many different files where you need to like process this file and combine them into a one big table. Yeah. So after that, you need to do the cleaning, wrangling. There are times that you need to some columns might not be relevant, so might have to be removed. So certain columns, like for example, we call it constant column, it only has one value, so you might want to remove that. However, in the DriversAI, in DriversAI, there are functionalities that helps you to automate these processes. That means if you don't remove those like constant columns, DriversAI will automatically remove that for you. Yeah. And you have imbalanced data, so DriversAI is able to detect that and tell you that if you have imbalanced data, and then you can do a more fine-tuned, for example, parameter settings to use certain sampling methods and so on. So the quick answer is yes, you need to process the data first. So there are things like very domain-specific things that, for example, in the anti-money laundering. So there are different organizations, different banks has a different recipe or different approach to identify certain patterns in the transactions that they consider as a fraudulent. So in those cases, specific recipe or separate recipe might have to be written, yeah, to transform data, to transform the data. Yeah.
Thank you, John. Very quickly, let's get one more question. Are there any data and/or security compliance issues specific to the insurance domain that need to be considered while designing an AI insurance solution? Would you like to take that?
Okay, very quickly, I would say, let me go back to the slide. Okay, this one is applicable to across various industry, not just insurance, financial, and healthcare as well. So there are certain. So this one, before you offload the data for any analysis work or even for machine learning model building, so so these are the considerations that you need to take into account, like differential privacy, anonymizations, and pseudo-anonymizations. Yeah. So yeah, very quickly and immediately. So these are the consideration. These are the process or that you need to have in place in your enterprise data layer. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jong, for taking the time today and doing a great presentation. I'd like to say thank you to everybody else who joined us today. The presentation slides and a copy of the recording will be sent out very shortly. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.